Please take out your Bibles to Isaiah in the Old Testament, the 58th chapter. I'm going to read verses 6 through 12. Isaiah, the 58th chapter, and I'm going to start reading verse 6. Carol Chase is joining me here on the podium. And as I would read these verses, I want you to be thinking of the country of Haiti. The country of Haiti. Okay, verse 6. Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loosen the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke? To set the oppressed free and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe him, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he will say, Here am I. If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger, and with malicious talk, and if you will spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Our people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You'll be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. As you know, Carol and I had the opportunity to join 18 others on a trip down to Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And it was a very, very meaningful trip. And I've asked Carol to come and to share, but just before she does that, I want to tell you that this nurse who was on her first missions trip hit a home run. Now, you know I'm a baseball fan, and that's one of the highest compliments that I can give. That's a five-star rating. And Carol did an absolutely superb job. I was just so pleased the way the whole team came together and how it worked. But Carol was just a leader in so many ways. And her energy, she even had a facility for learning the language, and she was picking it up. It's very embarrassing to a person like myself who's gone there so often. I don't even know how to say the word greeting yet or hello in their language, and she picked it up so quickly. And she was chosen the last night we were there as the Rookie of the Year in reference to our team. So Carol, please come and know that we're so thankful you went on this trip.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, or which would be bonjour. I did try to learn a little bit of Creole while I was there. We did work with amazing translators, so I don't think it was any special gift of my own. They were very patient with me and worked hard with my pronunciation. Like Ron said, the trip was amazing. It was truly a wonderful opportunity. He's given me free rein to pretty much talk about whatever I'd like, so within a time frame. But I just want to say, Haiti is a beautiful, beautiful country. I've always kind of felt a special calling for them, even before the earthquake. I just have known that they were suffering before this earthquake. So to have this on top, it's insult to injury, and it's just, you just think, oh goodness, why? But it was amazing to go there, and the country is beautiful. I mean, at times your breath is taken because you have these beautiful visions of mountains and tropical flowers, and it's gorgeous. And then at the same time, you drive down the streets of Port-au-Prince, and unfortunately, your breath is taken away for quite a different reason. We arrived on a Saturday, and we kind of just get through the chaos of the Port-au-Prince airport and get home and put all your stuff and find your bed and whatnot. But Sunday morning, as you're driving through Port-au-Prince on the way to the church where we went to Sunday service, and that's where we were going to set up our clinic. And it's just heartbreaking. And you drive through the cities and you see tent cities on both sides of the street as far as you can see. And there are 8, 10 families living in these tents, 8 or 10 people, and you don't know how they're showering or where they're getting their food. And there's rubble and destruction everywhere. Buildings just shattered, and no signs of cleanup and no signs of construction or even removing the rubble. You'll have a pile of rubble taking up half the street. The other half of the street is huge potholes, and it's kind of like a crash course in driving. Thankfully, we didn't have to drive, but we were visited. And so you see all of this, and you're on your way, and you get this overwhelming sensation of, how do they do this? And there's rivers of floating trash, and you see a woman putting a bucket into the river and removing water, and you don't know why, but you know it can't be for anything good, and you don't know if they're cleaning with that water or cooking, and you're overwhelmed. And then you get to church, and there are these amazing people. The Haitian people are amazing. They're beautiful and kind, and they have a resiliency unlike anything I have seen before, and unlike I will probably ever see unless I go to another devastated country and see people with such strength. And they're amazing. And they show up on Sunday in their Sunday bests, certainly putting me to shame. I think I showed up in scrub clothes because that's all I brought. And they're dressed to the nines, and they're laughing, and they're having a good time. And we arrive, and I think one of the team members had bubbles, and the kids are chasing bubbles, and they're having a great time. And then you go to this service, and they're singing joyfully, and they're so happy, and they're singing praises to the Lord, and we can't understand exactly what they're saying, but we know what the sentiment is, and you're just astounded because you've just spent an hour getting to church, passing overwhelming amounts of devastation, and you get there, and you're faced with overwhelming amounts of joy and blessing, and you think, my goodness, if that's not amazing. So that's just one thing. I mean, the people were incredible, and then we were so lucky to be able to serve them. And as Ron said, I know some of you saw some pictures earlier during the Sunday school service, but we set up a clinic at this church, and I think some of the statistics are in the bulletin, so I won't bore you with those. You'll be able to read them. But people would show up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and wait all day to be seen, and they would come through, and I was really lucky. I got to work at the beginning of the process for a couple days where we meet and greet them and take some of their basic history, and then I also worked for a couple days at the very end when we're doing patient education and providing them with their antibiotics and just telling them what needs to be done. So I got to see both spectrums, but you see these people come in, and they're tired and they're worn, and it's a Wednesday, and you ask them when the last time they ate a meal is, and they say, well, Monday afternoon, because we kind of only eat when we can find something. And yet, not a single patient complained. No one was rude. No one was pushing anyone out of the way. They were just so grateful that we were there. They were so grateful that someone cared. They were so grateful that we were able to give them antibiotics or Tylenol. I mean, we didn't have facilities to do major things like surgeries and whatnot, but we were able to give them pretty basic stuff, but for them it was something, and they were so grateful, and it was amazing. And you would hear these stories of the earthquake and loss, and a woman who had an adorable 2-year-old daughter, and you find out that 2-year-old daughter was a twin, but the boy was lost in the earthquake, and yet she's still there, and they're happy, and they're so kind to me, and I'm practicing my Creole, and you can tell they kind of understand what I'm saying, but they're just so pleased at my genuine effort, and it was just wonderful. They are a wonderful, wonderful people, and we were very lucky, and I have to say our team was amazing. God truly blessed us with an incredible team. Most of us didn't know. There was a group from Connecticut, and then sort of a scattered group of others, and I knew no one except for Ron. And we all got along really well. And there were some strong personalities, but none of us ever clashed, as strong personalities sometimes do. But it worked out so well. We had 4 amazing clinicians, 2 doctors, 2 nurse practitioners, probably 5 or 6 other nurses who did things with the triage when they came in, or patient education. And then we had Ron and another gentleman who did a lot of the spiritual counseling, and were able to speak to these people on individual bases. And I think that was amazing for them too, because we weren't just providing for their physical needs, we had the spiritual component as well. And just for